This season, obviously, people are having packages delivered left and right, and a lot of times delivery places will just leave them on your front door, whether you live at an apartment complex, a condo, a house, you know, any of those situations, and they're not always, I mean, if someone's putting it on your porch, you can't guard it, it can't be locked up, whatever. So you do have people who come by and decide to snatch packages, and we're calling them porch pirates just because I guess that's kind of the slang terminology for what they're doing, coming by and stealing. So what do you see with instances like this in Tyler?
I think one of the reasons you say, you know, they call them porch pirates is because it was such a bad issue. It was such a overwhelmingly bad issue that you name them to kind of get almost a name to a face. And it brought such an uproar on everybody. Legislation changed, you know, a while back to really make it a very punishable offense to steal packages. Just kind of give you an idea. Just if you know, you steal up to 10, you know, steal less than 10, it's a misdemeanor. Now, I mean, you can go to jail for a year. But if you steal 10 to 30, and these people normally steal a lot, it's a state jail felony. And if you steal 30 or more, it's a third-degree felony, which is 2 to 10 years in a penitentiary. So it's a serious offense. Now, that being said, we do take our fair share of reports here, and it's not overwhelming, but it does pick up in the winter months. But there are only a certain amount of things that you can kind of do to kind of help, and that's just kind of what we say. You know, we'd like to get that number down, at least make them go somewhere else if you know, if it's not here, and that's kind of what we kind of focus on.
Okay, so what are some of those things that people can do to protect their packages?
I think number one, and it's a lot harder if you live in an apartment complex just because you're packed in with people, but still, if you live in a home, you can obviously get a recording doorbell, like a ring type doorbell. That will show a criminal that at least they're being recorded. And sometimes you get notified if somebody comes on your porch and you can talk to them. So a criminal is going to look at somebody who has one or doesn't have one, very likely to go with the person who doesn't have one because they know they're not on camera. So that's something that's just automatically a visible deterrent. Number two is you can have your packages shipped to a postal box or held at a facility, like if it's UPS or FedEx. I believe they allow you to pick them up at their location, and that way they're not on your porch. And so you could always just take a time and then go pick up all your packages. Now that does take a little more time. And thirdly, you can always talk to a neighbor or a friend, and most of the time people know when their packages are going to be delivered. The post office has it, you know, Amazon has it. You know when about you're going to get your packages. If you really kind of put a schedule to it, you can have a neighbor or say, hey, if you see a package, you know, if you don't mind grabbing it, and they'll pick it up later. That's not a bad thing too if you trust your neighbor. So just kind of a few tips that you can do, because everybody has packages delivered during this time, especially the increase of online shopping. So do what you can to talk to your delivery people too, and you could always talk to them and see where they can, you know, put your packages as far as in your house. So take those tips and kind of expand on them if you will. Just kind of something to kind of look at when as we get these delivered throughout, and even throughout the year.
Okay, and if this happens to someone, how would they go about reporting it?
Contact the Tyler Police Department, and if you come home, you have packages delivered, you know, talk to your neighbors, make sure it wasn't delivered at their house, because that does happen in this busy time of year. But then you can contact the Tyler Police Department if it happens in the city, make a report on it, theft on it, because it is a theft either way. You don't have to steal up to 10 to be arrested for it. If you steal one, you can be arrested for it. So just make sure that's an understanding. But if you do get a package stolen, contact the police department, and then that way we can know, especially if we take multiple reports in the same area, then they fall under those laws, and they can be punished even more for what they do.
Okay, and when these types of cases are reported, do you all have any sort of communication with the delivery services?
We can. What we normally do is if a detective gets the case and sees 3 or 4 packages being delivered. Normally our main issue is going to be talking to all the victims, and that's normally our main process is going to be talking to all the victims, getting their information on when it was stolen, what was stolen, how many packages were stolen, because this is amount of, it's different addresses is what's really that law is shooting at. I mean, you could have 5 packages delivered and that's 5 right off the bat, but and they hit neighborhoods is kind of what they're looking at, and most of them do. The same with like auto burglars. They're not going to go focus on one house. They're going to hit a bunch of them. And so that's what these criminals do. They just grab it and go. And so make a report. We'll talk to the victims. We'll try to combine them if that's possible. If we can get a suspect information, and a lot of people have those video doorbells, that's how we will get these suspects. And then we'll talk to neighbors, see what they saw, and then if need be, talk to the delivery companies after that and see if they have a time that packages were delivered. And so just focus in and narrow in, makes a better case, and we get these people put in jail for what they do.
Okay. And on average, how long would you say it takes to identify a suspect in these types of cases?
It really just depends. I mean, if we've got them on a video doorbell, immediately. I mean, we have their picture. And then, but just because we have a picture doesn't mean we have a name. So that's what we use social media for, that's what we use you guys for, is maybe if we've got somebody hitting a lot of houses, we'll put that out and somebody will recognize that person. You know, and that's kind of the way we go. You know, and normally what we find is most of the people that hit these neighborhoods are normally not from that neighborhood. So it helps to, you know, if we get that picture, we can do what we can to get that out there to the public and get them identified. And if we can identify them on one, we usually can identify them on several.
Okay. And is there a specific time of day or maybe like a range of hours in the day that are most popular for these kinds of things to happen?
It pretty much happens at all times. I can't pinpoint a certain time because they get stolen 24 hours a day. But normally, most packages are delivered during the day, and most people get home and pick them up in the evening. So on average, you're very likely going to see it happen more during the day when people are at work and they're not at home, and you know, kids are in school this time of year, and that's the perfect time to do it. Now we see it done all the time, but because most people get them when they get home, it's more during the day.
Okay. You got anything else you want to add?
That's it. If you have any problems or it happens to you, give us a call and we'll investigate the case.